Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and we're going to talk about Dael Kingsmill. We're going to talk about Jesus Christ. We're going to talk about resurrection. We're going to talk about myth, and we're going to talk about diversity. Here we go. All right. So let me tell you what happened, which is prompting this video. So Dael's Kingsmill got up to D&D Beyond interview status, right? So let's talk about that. Like, what does that mean? All right, so first of all, if you don't know who Dael's Kingsmill is, she's been around for a while. She's a very talented D&D commentator, okay? D&D 5th edition commentator, in my opinion. And what she does is she talks, about her game, and she does exactly what I do, better, and specifically, builds lots of resources for people. She's a really fantastic Dungeons & Dragons commentator, 5th edition commentator. She's been around for a while, probably like at least 3 or 4 or 5 years. I've been seeing her do her thing. She used to, and she had her own channel, right? Well, yesterday I'm bouncing around on YouTube and I see D&D Beyond has an interview with Dael Kingsmill. Now this is a big deal, right? Like, you're never going to see me interviewed on D&D Beyond, right? And there's a whole lot of D&D commentators who will never ever be put on Dungeons & Dragons, anything that's close to D&D canon. And guess what? D&D Beyond is very close to D&D canon, and frankly, they carry their canon, right? They're a publisher. Essentially, everything online goes through D&D Beyond right now. So D&D Beyond does. Todd Kenrick he did half the interviews for D&D's products, right? So D&D Beyond is very official, and in my opinion, what they put on is canon, right? They cover canon, they carry canon, and their interviews are canon, okay? And so when people are talking, it matters, and it's actually connected to Dungeons & Dragons. They don't just have any Tom, Dick, or Harry on there, right? I'm never going to be on D&D Beyond, ever, right? And there's a whole bunch of other commentators, like Taking 20, right? That guy will never be on D&D. They'll never be interviewed, by any kind of official outlet for D&D, right? So how did Dael Kingsmill get there, right? Well, first, she's very talented, right? That's first and foremost what got her on. But I will say, second, Dungeons & Dragons, Wizards of the Coast is very concerned with diversity, okay? And honestly, I'm there. I'm with them, okay? I get this a lot in my comments. People are like, diversity for diversity's sake is bad. And I 100% disagree, right? I don't want a Dungeons & Dragons that is all, a person who has 2 attributes, the same exact attribute that was used for the U.S. presidency until Obama, right? If you have this extra attribute and you have this attribute, you could be U.S. president or you could be a D&D lead design, right? It's very bad. I stand against it. I want diversity in Dungeons & Dragons. I know a lot of people are like, no, you can't do diversity for diversity. You can do diversity for diversity when you believe diversity is good, right? I paid attention when I went to college and in high school, and they talked about U.S. slavery, right? And when I go to Delaware, I live close to Delaware. There's a gigantic statue of Harriet Tubman there, right? And it says when Harriet Tubman was around, she was bringing people up from the South, and some people helped with the Underground Railroad, and some people were like, oh, we better send those people back to the South, right? So guess what? I want to be on the, hey, let's hide these people, let's help them, right? I believe if I had been born then, I would be an abolitionist. But I can't know, right? But you know what I can know? I can know what I can know what I do about diversity today, right? And I want to make sure that the things that are important to me have people of every gender, people of every race, people of every orientation. I want diversity, right? Diversity for diversity's sake is not bad. It is good, right? So when Dael Kingsmill is talking there, I think she got bumped up a few rungs because she's female, and frankly, the amount of females who are talking about the game at the level she is, right, at the granular mechanical level, is lower than we want because Dungeons & Dragons did not do a great job of attracting female players from day one. They just didn't, right? And now we're working on it hard, but there's some catch up that needs to be done, right? So what blew me away is Dael Kingsmill is on. She's talking to D&D Beyond's official interviewer, right? And she said something that shocked me. I never heard this in any D&D Wizards of the Coast official interview ever, right? Like, I was like, whoa, what did she just say? So she's on and she's like, I'm giving you tips for building myths in your world. So she's like, this is how you build a pantheon in Dungeons & Dragons. And this is how you build myths in Dungeons & Dragons, right? And I was like, wow, it's a very interesting topic, right? And so, like, and the other thing, I'll tell you right now, I've done a little bit of this. Yeah, building pantheons is challenging. And in fact, one of the things I'm seeing at my table is a lot of pantheons are so frightening to people to actually build as dungeon masters that they usually just outsource it, right? They're like, oh, well, these deities from these other realms are powerful here in my realm, right? But I was like, this is the deep end of the pool, man. She's talking about building gods, right? Like, she said, what you want to do when you build a myth in your world is you need a story that is known to everyone, right? And she goes, like Jesus Christ. And I was like, what? Like, she goes, yeah, like Jesus Christ. He was raised from the dead, right? And that story is known beyond Christians. And I was like, yeah, that's right. It is, right? Like, I couldn't believe somebody had said the name of Jesus Christ in an official D&D interview, right? I was like, what? Like, that, and the reason why is, I love Dungeons & Dragons. It's owned by Wizards of the Coast, right? And they are very, very pro non-religion, right? You could tell that Wizards of the Coast is absolutely gobsmacked, G-O-B, that clerics and paladins and pantheons are in their game because they don't know what to do with them, right? I'm convinced. I don't think a single evangelical Christian works at Wizards of the Coast. I've never seen any clue that anyone who thinks they're going to be in heaven someday actually works at Wizards of the Coast. Not one, right? So for somebody to say, you need a good, solid story, right? And here, this is really interesting. She was talking about myths, but when she talked about Jesus Christ, she didn't say myth. She said story. You need a story everybody knows, right? And here's the thing. Myths, we all know they're not real, right? But stories can be real, right? What is a story? It's a sequence of events told by one person that has a beginning, a middle, and the end. It can be fictional or it can be true, right? I could tell you a story. I got in my car, I went to the Wawa, and I got half off milk. Right, there's a story, right? Has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it was true, right? That's a true story, right? So, I got a gallon of milk because I've never got half off of milk, so I got milk. That's a true story. That actually happened. Same with Jesus Christ, right? Now, different people somebody can come and say, Scott, I don't believe you got milk at Wawa, right? Like, but I did. You could test the truth of it. There is a truth state and there's a falsity state. And I thought it was fascinating that Dael Kingsmill talked about Jesus Christ with an official Wizards of the Coast employee, right? Actually, I should say, with an official D&D Beyond employee who is not a Wizards of the Coast employee, but gets official content and carries official canon for them every single day and works directly with official canon, right? So yes, there's a little bit of a sidestep on the D&D Beyond part, but the reality is I couldn't believe they even allowed her to talk about Jesus Christ, right? Like it's shocking, right? Because you can tell, like, when you deal with Wizards Coast, they are very, very hesitant to talk about religion at all in any way, and none of their content is really built from a perspective of upholding any Christian values, right? Which, and here's the thing. I get frustrated with Christians who are like, go to a Hollywood movie and go, that movie was terrible. It had a whole bunch of terrible. I'm like, you went to a Hollywood movie. You know what's going to be there, right? So I don't expect Wizards of the Coast to carry my values, right? But it sure is delightful when they do, right? And that, and that's sitting on an official D&D Beyond, content channel, and I'm just so happy to see Dungeons & Dragons' name a centimeter away from Jesus Christ's resurrection, right? Like, that is absolutely incredible. And how do you get there? Diversity, right? Like, it takes a diverse group of people to get exciting, incredible things to happen. So I am very happy that, in my opinion, Dael Kingsmill probably got, bumped up a few notches to be pulled up into Dungeons & Dragons canonicity, right? Because she's female, and there aren't that many, like, females who just can talk about the game at the level she can, right? We're getting more, but the reality is for every Dael Kingsmill right now, you got 10 dudes, right? It's just the way of it, right? And we're trying to fix that. And one of the ways you fix that is you say, hey, if you are a powerful female voice in this, and well, boy, man, I'll tell you, like, they do have a hard time. I recently produced a list of top 10 D&D commentators, and everybody's like, oh, nice list. I don't like Jenny D. We're like, and it was like, there were tons, like, there was multiple comments that were like, the one female on the list, she should not be on the list. I don't listen to her. Like, like, it was a little surprising how quick. Like, and so I think, female voices have a hard time being heard. I'm for diversity, and I'm for diversity's sake. And I'm really, really proud of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition from not shrinking from the battle, right? There is a cultural battle right now saying, who is this game for? And I am so proud of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition that they're out there and they're saying, we want every voice heard. We want females. We want every gender heard. We want every orientation heard. We want every race heard. And they're doing the work. And I'm very proud of them. And that's why I stand D&D 5e so hard. They honor Gary. His name is printed in every single book, right? They carry his legacy today. And they do not shrink from the cultural battles of the day because they are not frightened by them. They are not frightened by change. They are not frightened by people who have different views and are just different than them. And they're also not frightened by Dungeons & Dragons having a creative platform that is being informed by lots of different voices. I'm for it. I back it. That's why I go for D&D 5e so hard. All that's my opinion. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think Jesus' name should be this close to Dungeons & Dragons? That Dael Kingsmill did something that was really helpful? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.